On this channel, I've done a lot of videos on the intricacies of scaling SaaS businesses. For this episode, I thought it'd be cool to go back to basics because I know a lot of viewers in this channel are in the mid to the later stages of scaling SaaS companies. Some are in the early stages where they're getting their initial go-to-market going, and some are just beginning their SaaS journey. And so I asked myself, if we go back 15 years, at this point, it's almost over 15 years, to Baby TK. What do I wish Baby TK knew as he was starting his first SaaS business? What would he have to know? What would I tell him based on everything that I know now? So on this video, I'm gonna walk you through 3 of my best SaaS ideas that are perfect if you're just starting out in your SaaS journey. And when you go through these 3 ideas with me and the principles behind them, either you'll fall in love with one of these or it'll inspire you to flesh out your own SaaS idea. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, and on this channel, I help SaaS founders like you grow your SaaS businesses faster with an unstoppable strategy. Now, if you are new to this channel, welcome. I drop a video with actionable strategies on how to start, grow, scale, and exit SaaS businesses every single Sunday. So be sure to hit the subscribe button and that bell icon. That way you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode with the TK energy. Now, if you're already part of this channel, if you're part of this growing community, if you're part of my SaaS coaching programs, my people, welcome back. It's really awesome to see you over here, truly. All right, so I asked myself 15 years ago with 4 of my fraternity brothers, we started a company. It was called HipCal. It was an online calendaring system. It was before Google Calendar existed. It was right when Web 2.0 was starting out. We were in college. We didn't think of it as a SaaS business, but we thought of it as a startup. And even that was a foreign idea to us because we were starting it in our fraternity house in upstate New York. So nowhere near Silicon Valley. But it was a SaaS business. Basically, that's what it was. And so I was thinking back to all right, what would I wish that I knew back then? Or when I was starting ToutApp, as I was beginning my SaaS journey, before I exited companies, before I scaled companies, before I worked at larger companies that acquired mine, before all of that. Hindsight is 2020. So looking back, based on everything that I know, what would I tell Baby TK? And what are the 3 ideas that I would do if I were just starting from scratch for the first time ever? Maybe that's where you are. And so on this episode, I'm gonna walk you through 3 of my best ideas for those that are just starting out in their SaaS journey. And when you follow these, we're gonna actually help you understand why this is important, what are the principles behind this, and why you need a starter idea before you go after the really crazy, complicated ideas. And so if you're excited to dig in, go ahead and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm, and let's go into principle number 1. So principle number 1, SaaS idea number 1, is to actually build a simple analytics tool. Now, why am I giving you these ideas and why should you go for something simple versus really complex if you're just starting out on your SaaS journey? Here's why. When I looked back at some of the best SaaS companies, when I look back at some of the best SaaS founders, when I look back at my own journey, all of them didn't start with their blockbuster idea as their first idea. They started with a simpler idea or a crazier idea. And because they kind of worked on it and played around with it, it created this foundation for a bigger idea that they were either able to pivot into or they shut down their original idea and started anew. But that journey of playing around with a simpler idea to get something out there, to get a feeling for what it looks like, to actually push something to production and then promote it and have a landing page and people sign up, it's magic. And the simpler you make the idea, the more successful you're gonna be. Otherwise, you're gonna be stuck in the complexity. And the quicker you go through that process, the better you get at creating more complex ideas. And a lot of times, simple ideas can turn into very complex ideas. The first version of ToutApp started as a very simple tool that I built over a weekend and launched on Hacker News, and we started generating revenues 2 days later. And that turned into a multi-billion-dollar category. We were backed by Andreessen Horowitz. We exited to a market leader, all of it, but it started with a weekend idea. And so don't underestimate these simple ideas. It gives you those core muscles, if you will, and really gets things going and helps you understand how all this works. And it helps you on that journey to that really great idea. One of the best ideas that I would do if I were just starting out in my SaaS journey is I would build a little analytics tool. Now, an analytics tool, the reason this is so powerful is because everyone's got tons of data now. They store data in all these places. And so if you build a simple little SaaS tool, you can say, hey, give me your data or let us connect to these 3 things and let us sync in the data and then we'll give you some insights. That's a great little tool that you can start experimenting with. Maybe it won't be $1 billion idea or maybe it will. However, It'll help you quickly iterate through that process of building that product, setting up that billing, setting up that landing page, and then marketing it, developing the value proposition, positioning, and getting some people to try it, asking them why they liked it, seeing if they're willing to pay for it. You get through that iteration really quickly, and that builds momentum for you to build on that idea or go after bigger ideas. What's an example of a great analytics tool? So one of the things that I do just to keep myself sharp, I work with SaaS founders today to help them with their go-to-market, help them with launching their companies, help them with scaling their companies. In my spare time, when I'm not doing YouTube or coaching the founders, is I actually code myself. I started off as an engineer and I wanted to get really good at React. And so I built a little single page app on React, backed on Firebase, to actually flesh out an analytics tool. I just wanted to play around with this idea. One of the things that's super important to me on this channel is when I'm talking about scaling companies, when I'm talking about go-to-market to get to say 3 million ARR or 7 million ARR, or when I'm talking about fixing broken companies at scale, if you're a 450 million ARR company, it needs to be turned around. I never want to be talking about things that I haven't done myself. So every single principle I bring you, every single strategy I bring you, it's very, very important to me that I've done it or I have experience in it. And so all the go-to-market stuff, I've actually done it. I've been in the trenches for that. And so as I'm talking about these beginner ideas, I wanted to make sure, like, you know what? Before I even do a video telling people this is a good idea, I want to build an idea. And so I actually built a little analytics tool, and you can check it out. I mentioned in a prior video. It's a little grader tool where it takes in a bunch of inputs, calculates, creates this chart, single page app, really cool. A lot of founders have gotten value from it, and you can check it out. Just go to gtm-grader.com. You don't have to go right now. I'll link to it below, but it's an example, and here's a little screenshot animation of it. You plug in a bunch of numbers, it actually creates all these insights for you. Simple tool. I started with this just to like put some value out there on how people can instrument their go-to-market machines, especially for mid-stage and later stage founders. And so that's an analytics tool I built over holiday break just to teach myself React, get better at it, think about Firebase as a backend where it's serverless. And so I wanted to play around with that. And that really allowed me to get the bearings of, cool, here's how a modern React app actually works. And here's the pieces that have to come in. And here's how we can solve for authentication instead of having a backend. Really awesome. But goes to show that building an analytics tool can be a really quick way to solve some problems, get the momentum going, and start to develop your bigger idea. And sometimes this go-to-market grader could turn into a really big idea. We could do a lot more with it, actually, now that I've heard a lot of great feedback from founders about it. And so it could start small and get huge, or it could point you in the right direction of something huge. And so my first idea is to build an analytics tool. The second idea I have is I want to give you kind of the abstract concept, and I'm going to give you some concrete examples. The second idea I have is what we call a CRUD application. It sounds really terrible, but it's actually the best thing ever. Most SaaS applications are CRUD applications. CRUD is an engineering term. It stands for create, read, update, and delete. And so most SaaS apps create some version of where you can create a record, you can actually list those records, you can update that record, you can edit that record, you can delete that record, and you get organized because of it. It's kind of a front end to a database. Most SaaS applications, in some way, it's kind of that. A concrete example of these kind of applications, a simple CRUD app, is to build a to-do app, or to build a notes app, or even to build a recipes app. And these are simple little applications, and you can go as niche as you want for these. You can make a recipe app just for people that are practicing keto or something like that, or a recipe app of people that only eat kale. I don't know. I kind of like kale, but I'm not exclusive to it. So you can get super niche around these things. A simple CRUD app is easy to build, and it gets you into the motion of creating something of value where you can go to people and say, hey, look, you're probably doing this manually, or maybe you're using a spreadsheet. Here, use this application. It kind of understands exactly what your workflow is, so we're gonna make it 10 times better. We'll give you some insights. And so an example of this is a note-taking app or a to-do app. And so again, I've been experimenting with a product, and one of the big things I focus on is, the life strategy of a founder, and compared to that, the business strategy of a founder. And so my business partner and I, we've been experimenting with this app and we've been building it out. It's profitable now, just like prints money. It's really good and provides a lot of value, and our users love it. It's essentially a CRUD application. That's how it started. We wanted to get the motions going on building something cool. And this one's built on React, on a Rails backend. So we got a little bit more sophisticated on this one with proper billing and all that stuff. You can check that out. It's at unstoppablesunday.com. It's a hybrid notes application where it helps you reflect on your week and plan your upcoming week. It's super cool. I use it every single Sunday. A lot of people use it and they pay for it. You can start a free trial and give it a shot. Just go to unstoppablesunday.com. I'll link to it below. It'll give you an idea of how you can build a simple CRUD application, add some real complexity to it, and solve a real problem, and then it can become something big. And I think Unstoppable Sunday will become something big given the trajectory that it's seeing in user growth and revenue growth and all of that. And again, there are other ways to do it, right? You could do a to-do app, you could do a notes app, you could do a recipe app, but anytime where you're thinking about what is a set of things someone's tracking, maybe in a spreadsheet, can we actually turn that into a SaaS app and actually start to flesh out like how they can list it, update it, delete it? That's a CRUD app, essentially. Create, read, update, delete. Terrible name, but you get the idea. Super powerful and a great way to start your SaaS journey. So I have the first two. Now, before I go to number 3, let me just pause here for a second. Before I go on to number 3, are you starting to get this? The important thing to understand is that you can actually make your initial idea super complicated. And then you never launch, you keep building more features, and you never really know if this thing's gonna work. What's better is to start simple and start small. ToutApp started with a weekend project. Unstoppable Sunday started with a weekend project. Just go to Market Grader, started on a sketch on a piece of paper. And I'm like, I'm gonna build this over a holiday break and get really good at React. And so this can all start simple and then turn into really massive things. And what's important here is to start with one of these simple constructs of SaaS applications, maybe an analytics tool or a CRUD app or this third one that I'm gonna show you. If you start to see the power in this, you're starting to see the power of this is how to really get things rolling in your SaaS journey. Can I just get a yes in the comments below? Also smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It really likes it when you do that. Also, I run a webinar every single week. I run a webinar that teaches you how to take your SaaS idea and start to flesh it out. And what are the critical components you need to do to turn that idea to a real thing and make sure that you're not wasting months building the wrong product. And the way you do that is you actually launch it a certain way, you validate it a certain way, you develop the value proposition a certain way. And so I run this webinar every single week. You can access it yourself. I will link to it below. You don't have to go right now, but make sure you check out that webinar. It's completely free. It's 45 minutes of like action-packed in-depth training on like how do you go from idea to initial product. And so that's like, I love this webinar. So many people have gotten value from it. So I'll link to it below. You should check that out. Now, let's go to principle number 3. You don't have to go right now. I know I'm giving you a lot of links on this one, but I wanted to give you examples and I wanted to give you more in-depth training so that you can really move on this. In the later stages, the mid stages, the founders, I can just tell them, like, hey, look, just go work on these 3 principles or join my coaching program. For you guys, in the beginner side, what you need is more concrete examples so you can get your thinking right. And so I wanted to make sure I do that in this video. So if you're getting value from this, smash that like button. That way I know that you're getting value and I'm doing this the right way. And if you have feedback on this, put it in the comments. I always read the comments and respond to them. Okay, principle number 3, another simple way you can start your SaaS journey is to take an API that's widely available, maybe a little bit complex, and create a friendly user interface around it. Let me explain. There's a lot of APIs out there that can do some incredible things, especially when it comes to AI. AI APIs, like machine learning APIs, can actually create marketing copy. It can create creatives for your ads. There's API that can automatically generate images. There's APIs that can transcribe an audio file and turn it into something meaningful. There's so much out there, so many APIs out there. And one cool thing I've seen a lot of founders do is essentially take an API that's widely available and maybe has some sort of cost to it and create a user interface around that API that's super easy to use so normal people can take advantage of those APIs. And that way you don't have to learn how to code. You can use this SaaS tool that is on top of this API to create that value. And so instead of learning how to code and make an API call to say take an audio file and turn it into text, you can create a little SaaS tool that says, hey, drop your audio file here, maybe your podcast, and we'll turn it into text for you automatically in seconds. And we'll also highlight the most important parts. And you can create some smarts around that and have some fun with it. Now, this is the one example where I actually haven't built a tool yet, mainly because there's so many APIs and I have so many competing priorities and the holiday season ran out and that's when I was coding a lot. I haven't done this one yet, but I want to. And so if you have any ideas on what's a cool API you can build a wrapper around, put it in the comments below and I will check it out. And maybe if I do it, I'll keep you posted on it as well. But this is third example. You log into AWS, the number of APIs they have now is insane. There's all these machine learning APIs popping up. There's so much out there. And so if you use one of these APIs and solve a real world problem, it's a very quick way. And the reason this is so powerful is because the heavy lifting of a really complicated SaaS app is being done already by the API. So what you're really doing is kind of using the API and putting a CRUD application in front of it to leverage that API. And then maybe adding some analytics at the end of it to like really provide some value. And so this is where even these 3 ideas together, you can start simple. with just like a little analytics or a little API with a friendly user interface, but then you can add a CRUD on top of that and then add some analytics on all the data you have. And now you have a simple idea that's turned into a more complex idea. And so these can compound on each other. So let's recap. 3 core ideas that you can start on, especially if you're starting out in your SaaS journey. Number 1, an analytics app. You can check out the Go-to-Market Grader. I'll link to it below. A CRUD app, you can check out myunstoppablesunday.com. That's a notes app that's really powerful with video instruction. It's really cool. Or you can take an API and put a fancy UX around it, right? To make it more user-friendly. Or you can compound all 3 of these to make a really monster SaaS application in a massive company. But you can start with just one of these, and that's the power of it. If you got value from this video, make sure you smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It really likes it when you do that. But also, while you're still here, if you are at that idea stage and you're looking to figure out, like, how do I go from this idea to like a proper product? Or maybe you started to code already, but you don't quite know if you can validate this. You don't know if anyone's gonna buy it. The last thing you should be doing is coding without validating the market. I run a webinar every single week. You can access it instantly. In this webinar, it's 45 minutes of my most in-depth training. I go into exactly how I take a product idea into market as early as possible to validate what we should be building, start to figure out how we're gonna generate revenues, start to figure out if there's gonna be product market fit without wasting months building the wrong product. A lot of people get stuck wasting months building the wrong product. And so I wanna make sure no one does that. I wanna make sure you approach it the right way. So if you wanna access that webinar, go to tkcater.com/webinar. Super easy. Just go to tkcater.com/webinar and you'll get access to it right away. 45 minutes, bring a notebook, take some notes. It's action packed. It's amazing. And that webinar, like, iterated on it over and over and over to make it better and better and better, to make it as impactful for you. So it'll really build off of these ideas, and maybe you have an idea in mind or you want to do one of these or some combination of it. It'll help you to figure out what's next. Like, what do I do with this idea? How do I make sure I don't waste months building the wrong thing? So just go to tkcater.com/webinar. If you got value from this video, go ahead and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It just really loves it when you do that, and so does my team. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet, I drop a video like this with actionable strategies based on experience. I've been in the trenches, I've been where you are, based on my own experience on actually being successful at it and making mistakes and learning from it so I can teach you not to make the same mistakes. I drop a video every single Sunday, so be sure to hit the subscribe button and that bell icon, that way you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode. If you have a fellow founder, a fellow team member, an aspiring SaaS founder, if you're part of a Slack group or a WhatsApp group, please share this video with them. It'll just mean the world to us, me and my team. Put a lot of love in these videos. We want to help as many SaaS founders as possible. And lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business. When you are with us, yours is going to be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I'll see you in the next episode.